Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. It is the reaction show after the Alliance National Football League 4 Division 2 has concluded. And what a finish of Gaelic football we have had. What a final round of games in Division 2. Hopefully Division 1 is as exciting because, goodness me, that went down to the war. It went down to the absolute war. I mean, Cavan right down at the stretch had a massive chance of getting promoted. Roscommon in the end drawn with Westmeath, which very much opened the door for Meath on a day where Meath really struggled. There's no doubt about it. Meath weren't at their best today. Louth by far the better side and well deserved of the victory and of the win as well. But even towards the end, there was a chance, wasn't there? There was opportunities there for Meath, a couple of 2-pointers going wide, and there was the chance for Meath to get promoted. In the end, Louth stay up with the victory. Down in the end, did actually beat Monaghan, but it is not enough to see them staying up in the division. And in fact, this is how Division 3 has finished. So as you'll see there, Monaghan and Roscommon are both promoted with both 10 and 9 points. But you see there was a chance for Meath or Cavan. Had either one of them won today, they would in fact have been promoted. And you seen Cavan towards the end of the game against Cork, a couple of late 2-pointers from the likes of Gerald McKernan. It made the game interesting. It made the game go down to the wire. And you felt like there was a chance for Cavan to potentially get promoted there. But it wasn't meant to be. Meath as well had a massive opportunity potentially. And even Cork, look, finishing on 8 points. They couldn't have got promoted today because they won. So that's why they finished on 8 points. But had they, they'll look back at some of the other games maybe where they dropped points and think there was a chance there. And, only missing out by a point in the end. But look, for both Monaghan and Roscommon, even though they both didn't win today, obviously for Monaghan, the game didn't matter. They were going to be promoted either way. Barron, I think it was like a 24-point swing that needed to happen. And for the Rossies, albeit it was a draw, but look, in the end, it was enough, and they do get promoted, and they'll be very, very happy with that. And obviously, down in terms of relegation, Westmeath get their first point on the board. They'll be happy not to finish the Division 2 campaign with 0 points, but they will, they will obviously be disappointed with relegation. But I think what I was about to get onto is down there, 6 points, 3 wins on the board. They're actually only 3 points off Roscommon. Do you know what I mean? They're actually only 2 points off Meath, who could have got promoted today. But in the end, it's not enough. And down, having been promoted from Division 3 last season, will now play Division 3 football once again, which is a massive, massive blow for them. Farney Fan TV says Monaghan had some comeback, just unlucky. We left a few scores behind us. Yeah, absolutely. They did, in fairness, come back towards the end of the game. I think it was 2-13 to 20 points. It was looking like it was going to be a draw. But there we go. Aidan says being relegated on 6 points is harsh. It is very harsh. And like that was always the thing when I remember even when doing predictions of Division 2, and you were kind of thinking, I think everybody had Westmeath going down. I think everybody expected Westmeath to be relegated and to go down to Division 3. But you're kind of looking at it and thinking, who's going to join them? Like the team I predicted was Meath, and look, Meath very close to getting promoted in the end. But again, they were only 2 points off relegation at the same time as well. So very, very little between those core teams, the likes of, Meath, Cork, Cavan, down. Very, very little between a lot of them. Like a lot of them beat each other as well. And we even saw that today with the likes of Cork beating Cavan, who, finished below Cavan, and Louth beat Meath when Louth finished below Meath. So, yeah, very, very entertaining stuff. Very, very little between a lot of those counties. It is a setback for down. Like, it means they'll be playing Tailteann Cup football, most likely, if they don't reach an Ulster final. And obviously, having been in the Tailteann Cup, well, actually, no, they won the Tailteann Cup, didn't they? So they will be in the All-Irelands, in fairness. So they will be all right there. But at the same time, it is a setback going down to Division 3. It puts more pressure on them for next season. But at the same time, I suppose they will be in the All-Ireland series with having won the Tailteann Cup last year. But yeah, look, the game I did watch, obviously there was so many games on at once, all on TV. Obviously some of them streamed on YouTube, which was absolutely brilliant to see. And of course we did get Louth versus Meath on TG Cahir on the L television. So I did watch that game, in fairness, but I was obviously keeping close eye on all of the different games. It was Louth 119, Meath 17 points. Louth in the end hang on for the victory, by far the better side in the first half of the match. Meath Meath were very slow to get going. I mean, they only had a point after, I would say I think it was after about 29 minutes, they only had a point on the board before they got the 2-pointer. So it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't a brilliant performance for Meath, it must be said. And I think for Meath in general, they will look back at these last 2 matches and think they were in such a brilliant position to get promoted, having beaten Roscommon. And it felt like, Meath had turned a corner a little bit under Robbie Brennan. And look, ultimately, I don't think this is, I don't think it's the end of the world necessarily for Meath that they haven't been promoted. Look, they're still a young team. It's year 1 for Robbie Brennan. It was always going to be very difficult for them to get promoted anyway, with the likes of Roscommon and Monaghan in there. But when you do look at the teams who are coming down next season, I mean, you're going to have Derry coming down. You're going to have like one of Tyrone, maybe Kerry, or someone like that coming down as well. So it's not going to be easy for me next year either. And you'd probably fancy nearly the 2 teams to get relegated from Division 1 to to come straight back up next season, because obviously that does seem to be what's happening at the moment. Our man Donegal get relegated 2 years ago, straight back up, and now we've seen the same with Roscommon Monaghan. So it is quite a common occurrence. But look, it is year 1, so ultimately I don't think it's the complete end of the world. They do obviously have young players in there like Owen Frayne, Aaron Lynch. They obviously do have a couple of injuries as well, which obviously is a bit of an issue as well. But they are a very, very good side. And I think it was Jordan Morris who went off injured towards the end of the game as well. So hopefully everything is okay with him. But they were just flat in the first half. It just, and obviously with Louth having the home advantage and everything else, you knew they were going to be bang up for it, the rivalry and everything else that goes with it between these two sides. But they just didn't really seem up for it, Meath. I mean, they kicked 1 point in the opening 29 minutes until Owen Frayne's 2-pointer. And Louth, whilst they were sitting in and being defensive, they were very, very good when they were hitting on the break, and they were moving the ball quickly. They were getting in behind that Meath defence, which was cut open time and time again. And obviously it was a brilliant goal by Kieran McArdle. And whilst Meath did have the majority of the possession, Louth were just more effective when they had the ball. And you have to say Tommy Dernan, absolutely outstanding. Fantastic performance from him, 3 points. Ryan Burns as well, really stepping up with 9 points. And I think the most impressive thing from a Louth perspective is the fact they didn't have Sam Mulroy for this game. They didn't have Sam Mulroy. He was injured, but he stepped up brilliantly. He was absolutely fantastic, scoring 9. Ryan Burns was absolutely fantastic, I should say, in the absence of Sam Mulroy. And young Kieran McArdle, watched him with the Louth under-20s, I think, a couple of years ago against the Dubs. Very good player as well. He scored 1-1, so very impressive stuff. Look, Meath did make more of a game of it in the second half. They battled. They really did make more of a match out of it in the second half, and it did feel like Louth were hanging on. They were chipping away at the scoreboard, getting a couple of points here and there, to kind of keep themselves with a comfortable lead. Meath got a couple of 2-pointers towards the end of the game. Keith Curtis, Jordan Morris getting one as well. But I do think that Jordan Morris injury, like there was a big stoppage there, kind of after that injury, and that did kind of it kind of stopped Meath's momentum, I felt. And look, sometimes these things can happen, in fairness, but it just did seem to stop Meath's momentum at that particular moment in time. And Louth were kind of able to kind of see the game out. Obviously, Meath missed a couple of chances after that. Owen Frayne put one wide. Louth were missing opportunities as well. I remember them missing kind of a relatively routine free. But look, Louth hang on. They get the victory. They get the win. They needed to get the victory as well, because had they have not gotten the victory, they would have been relegated. And what a sickener that would have been, to not only lose to Meath and get relegated, but also see our big rivals getting promoted in the same time as well. So Louth fans will be absolutely delighted they done the business there. Farney Fan TV says Beggan missed a point blank shot from 5 meters out, and then 2 minutes later scored a 2-point. Very strange performance from us today. Meath are a far better side than they were 10 months ago. They trailed us at half time by 13 points in the championship. They won't be the whipping boys of the championship this year. Look, absolutely. I think there is positives, after some of their performances last season, you would have been thinking, Meath potentially could have been closer to relegation than promotion. And in the end, they were only a point actually closer to promotion as it's worked out. But I think as a team, they definitely have progressed. You know, they got some big wins on the board this year. Obviously, I think they will need to look into what went wrong against Monaghan and what went wrong today as well. I know, obviously, Monaghan, very good side and well-deserved of that victory. But in both of these two games, like, they were beaten at half-time, really, and they left themselves with way too much to do. So is it a case of fatigue? Is it a case of too many games? Injuries maybe piling up? It's kind of hard to know. But ultimately, you would say, yes, Meath are on the right track. But there is still, you know, a little bit of work to be done if Meath want to try to get back to what we know Meath football can be and should be. And as for Louth, look, it's huge for them. I think it would have been a massive setback for them to go down to Division 3 after some of the great work they've done in Division 2. But yeah, you know, they get the victory. They get over the line, obviously without their star man as well. And I think that will impress Ger Brennan the most. Just looking at some of the other games, I was watching a bit of Westmeath, Roscommon as well, kind of in the background. You know, looked to be that Westmeath where, you know, or Roscommon were very, very comfortable for large parts in this game. Maybe towards the end, Roscommon taking their eye off the ball a little bit. A 2-pointer from Owen McCabe and Kieran Martin. And I think Westmeath actually kicked, I think, you know, counting the 2-pointers, about 6 points on the bounce. So, yeah, to be disappointed with that, the Rossies. I mean, ultimately, you know, it's an interesting one. 9 points is kind of a small enough margin, I think, to get promoted. You know, usually 10 points would be sort of the minimum, which would be what, 5 wins. So a little bit fortunate in the end. They obviously lost to Meath as well, the team who were below them. They lost to Cavan obviously as well. So they've had a bit of a dip recently, Roscommon, in terms of form. And look, ultimately they did what they had to do, which is get promoted, and that's the most important thing. But as well, going into the Connacht Championship, you know, having looked as good as they looked in the first part of the season, there were certain people thinking, can they challenge for Connacht and can they even win Connacht? But after this, you know, recent run of games, I think there will be some question marks there. In fairness, but just looking at some of the scores here, Keane McKeown with 3, Kieran Murtha with 1-6 as well, Dara Craig with 3. So some big results and big performances there for the Rossies. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions on the games in the comments down below. Just a reminder of how Division 2 finished. So Monaghan and Roscommon are promoted, and down Westmeath are relegated. Of course, there were some other big games across the board today in other divisions, the likes of Division 3 as well, which went down to the wire, and Division 4 had some interesting results there as well, with Limerick getting promoted. But we'll save the discussion for them games in the review show tomorrow evening. But we will be back after the round of fixtures in Division 1 a little bit later on, because there are some big games there, in fairness. So until the next one, hit the like button and subscribe, and we will chat to you all later.